Now, Jim Rohn is a friend of mine, motivational philosopher, says you can't hire other people to do your push-ups for you. I love that quote. Think about that. I can't hire you to go to the gym and work out for me. I can't hire you to meditate for me. You could meditate about me, but can't help my consciousness grow. I can't hire someone to, eat for me in terms of that's how my nutrition is going to go and what vitamins I'm taking in. So all the things I'm going to share with you today, you have to do yourself. These are not delegatable things, okay? And that leads into a formula, which I would encourage you to write down. It's in your handout. But it says E plus R equals O. And what it stands for is event plus... In addition, if you cut out an hour of TV, you end up with 365 additional hours a year. That's the equivalent, by the way, of 9.5 work weeks. Wow. One of the things we've learned is that success is the result of little increments in a consistent basis over time. So the same thing is when you add in a discipline like 10 minutes of exercise or 30 minutes of reading or whatever it might be, over time, that's what gets you more intelligent. If you do that with activity and exercise, it gets you more fit. If you do it in terms of nutrition. So a friend of mine came up with this little idea. I liked it a lot. He calls it the hour of power. I'm going to pause for a minute, let that sink in. Think about who are the 5 people you spend the most time with, because they are reflecting back to you the level of consciousness, the level of success, the level of go for it, level of self-esteem that you are believing you are worthy of. And when I went to work for W. Clement Stone, he had me do a little thing where I had to write down all the names of the people that were in my life that I interacted with on any kind of regular basis. And one of the things he had me then do was put a plus sign next to everyone whose name was positive and a minus sign next to everyone who was negative. And when I did that, I then said, now what? And he said, don't hang out with anyone who has a minus sign next to their name. I said, Bill, his name was William Clement Stone, but he called himself W. Clement Stone, he wanted to be unique. I said, Bill, my mother's name has a minus sign next to it. He said, Christmas and Easter, that's it. But he said, literally, you become like the people you hang out with. If that weren't true, why would we tell children, I don't want you hanging out with those kids? Because they're a bad what? Influence. And you think it stops when you're 18? Everyone you interact with is influencing you. So you want to surround yourself with positive people. Positive, or, as opposed to negative. Catherine Lonigan, she is a person I wrote about in my book. She won a scholarship to go to university, and it was for creative writing. And she got in her class, and she got an F on her first paper. She wrote a little short story. And this visiting professor from Harvard was running the class, and she went, why did I get an F? She said, 'cause you can't write. And he said, look, I'm making a suggestion. You give up writing, and I'll give you a passing grade so you can keep your scholarship. But you got to change your major. Now, she was a gifted student in high school. We took all the AP classes in writing, wrote a play that was published and all this stuff. But she didn't want to lose her scholarship. So she agreed never to write again. Now, 15 years later, she's down in Texas. They're making a movie in the town next door. She goes over, and she's hanging out with the writers. Everyone else was trying to get close to the movie stars. And they said, why are you hanging out with us instead of them? So I always wanted to be a writer. I said, really? Well, why don't you just write? Well, I was told I couldn't. I had no talent. Really? Who told you that? Well, it was this Harvard professor visiting at my college. Oh, what does a professor know? I write for a living. Write something. Send it to me. I'll tell if it's any good. Anyway, she writes a book. Takes her a year to write it. She sends it to him. He loves it. Sends it to his editor. She loved it. She called him up, or her up rather, and said, I'd like to publish your book. Now, you know what that book was called? It's called Romancing the Stone. It's made into a movie. She wrote another book. It was called Jewel of the Nile, also made into the sequel of that movie. We lost her writing talent for 15 years because she let some other person tell her she wasn't any good. So you got to be careful. Do not let other people's opinion of you run you.